Pressing the button, Mrs. Ryan.
Okay.
Saturday morning. Look at that.
Yeah, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, in that we're doing a show, or the fact that that name is on the screen?
That name, you walked in, I was like, your scarf's in my house.
Ah!
Made me so
Are
happy.
you guys scarf friends on the Instagram?
I don't think so, but we always, we have accoutrements for the weather that we both enjoy.
Yeah, you're both always dolled up. You both
I
have a
always
sense of style,
my
that's
hat,
for sure.
And he's got his scarf today. So
Oh, I forgot about your hat. We should ask. Yeah, we'll ask him when he gets in here about
Yeah.
that. Well, as you saw on the screen there, Paul Zuckerman is here today. But in the meantime, welcome back. Welcome back. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is It's Tonight Show. Today is, this is odd for us, but it is Saturday, February 16th, 2019. Weird.
sounds weird.
But Paul
Halfway
Zuckerman is
through
here.
the
We're excited
month.
about that. Mrs. Ryan, for the hellos, I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't talk about yesterday and our adventures.
Okay.
What happened yesterday, Mrs. Ryan?
Yesterday, okay, there was a landslide, a rock slide somewhere.
We
and
were
I-
going to Breakfast Club, of
Going
course.
to Breakfast
as
Club.
usual on Fridays.
And it was quiet. Sometimes it's quiet. There's not a lot of people on that road, a lot. And there was a rock slide while we were there.
All
And
100%
then-
accurate. I'm going to say we went to Breakfast Club as usual with nothing out of the ordinary. We actually passed one Porsche guy taking pictures. Turned out to be Magnus, of course. And we got up there and we were having a great time. And it was around 9:30 or so. And literally Magnus turned to me and said, "Where's all your Breakfast Club people?" And we all kind of like looked at and we did one of those. Yeah, that is weird. I don't know. There was only like 5 Porsches there. It was us and Derek Whitaker and a couple other people, Paul Chamberlain and stuff. But we all looked at our watches and we're like, "What the hell is going on?" And within maybe an hour of that time, we started getting the texts in as people had tried to come up and gotten back down to the bottom of the mountain
Yes.
where their signal completely washed out. So we have a video for that. I can play it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. It turned out so it was a very small, intimate Breakfast Club, and you'll see that, I guess. Now we'll just play it.
Cool.
Roll it, Hal.
Quite a few. I'm tired and I wanna go to bed. Had a little drink about an hour ago. It went right to my head.
So it wasn't our usual Breakfast Club, but my goodness, we found a fun adventure, didn't we?
We totally
Are you tearing
did.
up again?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, that's
I'm trying not
amazing.
to. It was really a great video.
Holy cow. That was a fun day.
It was
fun
a
day.
fun morning.
Yeah.
Really, I loved getting to talk with the people that were there. It was really like a family going
Honestly,
to breakfast.
it felt like in the early days when we first started it, when there was only a couple people that kind of just, weren't sure what to make of it.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Anyway, Mrs. Ryan, that was what was going on. I feel like I don't know. Should we do? Let's just do a really quick Brooke and the Kaz Man.
Okay.
And then get on to the news and bring
Cool.
in Zuckerman. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Real quick, let's check in on the East Coast over here with Brooke and the Kaz Man. Roll it out.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, it is Brooke and the Cast Man. That's Brooke. You know, oh no, they run the show. That's the show. You're about to be on TV. Hi. All right, so this is Mel, and that's Big D.
Yeah, don't use my real name.
I won't. It's Alejandro. We are in Manhattan, as you can see by all the buildings behind us.
No, this is an undisclosed location.
My bad. It's an undisclosed location somewhere in the Upper West Side. I'm black.
So you can't be giving out
Right
my
on the door.
location.
Not that
The
for my.
address 45.
Not that black.
He is dark though.
Wait, is this a PG?
No, it's not PG. They curse all the time. It's
That
fine.
was going on. Oh my
We
God.
want. And he's not even my Aunt Kristen. She's talking about penis this much. Anyway,
my
I want to send you guys some love for the Big Bad Apple.
I'm really not this tall. I'm actually just standing on my desk.
Love you guys. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.
You good? You got it, Brooke?
I'm good.
All right, Brooke's good. Later, guys.
Dear Lord. Well, they're out there doing it. I mean,
I
you
know.
got to give them credit for that. They're out there doing it.
Yes.
I'm sure there was some reason for that. That wasn't just or maybe it was just a random.
Who knows?
Random
If
Friday
they
night.
looked like they were having fun.
At an undisclosed location. Mrs. Ryan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to ask the question that is on everyone's mind.
Oh yeah.
What's going on, Mrs. Ryan? Dun, 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 dun.
I don't know why that makes me laugh every
That's
time.
why we do it.
Well, that's awesome. Greenland is melting.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I think.
Well, all the ice is melting, right?
Yeah, everything's melting. Everyone knows that usually. But what Greenland is doing to kind of supplement their economic base it's questionable.
Yeah.
But this was so weird to me. They're selling the sand they're finding underneath the melting ice.
Oh, interesting, because it's not been seen. Right? Well, not in our lifetimes, many generations.
It's been preserved, but they're selling it because it's apparently used a lot in asphalt to make buildings and roads.
Oh, they're like making a business out of it.
Yeah.
It's not a souvenir. It's not like a piece of the Berlin Wall. This is
Nope.
This is for construction purposes and other.
This is to make money. They're like, we've got a new resource that people want, and
Wow.
we're getting old, and our income is like 90% of their economic resources comes from fishing.
In
And
Greenland.
they're like, and some shellfish, something is their main seller. So they're like, we're getting old. Here's a way to make some money. So it's being looked at, but you never know. A lot of autoimmune diseases affect
Ooh.
women more than men. That's generically known.
Should I
That's
widen out to show your cane?
No, I've already talked about it
Oh,
today. But it's all fixable, I think. So whatever. But in the meantime, some deeper research into why that's the case, because that's pretty known and that's pretty common. Like women are affected more than men, blah blah. And so instead of just saying,
Are they affected more? Or they diagnose more. There's more diagnoses.
no, they're affected more.
Oh,
Symptoms are worse. They're more prevalent.
Oh, I
There's
see.
more of them. Like they women like get smacked in the face with autoimmune things, whether it's MS or like chronic fatigue or like Crohn's or whatever, and men typically don't have as many symptoms.
okay.
But what they're finding is basically, in layman's terms, they're finding that women carry a bunch of junk in their cells too.
Baggage?
What?
Baggage? Cell baggage?
Sure. You call it whatever you want. It's basically like an encyclopedia, a physical encyclopedia of anything that could possibly go wrong. And so whenever we're triggered that something is wrong, like a cold, sometimes we dump out a bunch of stuff.
Oh.
And so that gets in our systems more often. And
Weird.
like we try to fight that. And it's like your body has no idea what it's combating.
Yeah.
But it's really just shit from your cells that you've accumulated over the years that like
But like all autoimmune, we're attacking the wrong stuff.
totally.
Yeah.
So just clean yourself up. That's my
You're not the enemy.
You're not. It's really hard to wrap your head around as an autoimmune disease sufferer. But I guess whatever. VR surgery. There was this movie Inner Space when I was a kid that I
You
loved.
loved that. Martin
I
Short,
loved
right? And
Marty and Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid.
and Dennis Quaid, I think where they met maybe.
Yes, as far as I know.
Wow.
And the minimal research I did when I was a kid because I loved it so much.
What about it?
there's a VR surgery is now becoming a VR thing for doctors, and it looks to me everything I read just made me think of that movie.
Oh, I see.
Where like they're inserting robotic.
That's way back to like when laparoscopic surgery started for me. I felt the same thing. I always think of what is it? Journey to the. It's not Center of the Earth. The Amazing Journey, the Incredible Journey. The one where they shrink you down and they shrink a whole spaceship down and goes into the guy's body and the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
probably
think I
equally
saw
as
that.
bad as Inner Space, but it's a similar plot.
I'm sure I missed that because it was too youthfully appropriate.
Or
for
maybe
me.
perhaps because you don't know the title still, because I said about 3 different things there. I think it might be the Amazing.
There was like a
Incredible Journey.
span of my early life where I was watching things way too old appropriate age-wise for me, like Inner
yeah,
Space.
me too.
So then I like somehow I tried to equalize, whether it was my parents or whatever, like around 12, and watch shit that was appropriate, and like it was so young. Like I was so too smart for it.
Right. Well, that's how I was working at 30 Rock and then trying to go to the Connecticut School of
Yeah, good
Broadcasting
luck.
thing. It was like, have fun.
Yeah, totally. So this VR thing is new, but it feels old to me. But I guess
Cool.
it maybe is one of those things
Awesome.
that we dreamt up in Hollywood. And then last but not least, Palm Springs. I did not know this is why. It's obviously a destination spot, and it's cool for a lot of our drive people, right? Like it's like a Porsche thing.
There's a big
3
3-pedal
PP
posse
going.
this coming weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, this time next week they'll all be there,
because it's a gorgeous spot. I do love it there.
and it's
But-
Modernism Week, right? I believe.
Maybe I didn't read that part, but what I did read is that which I did not know and found hilarious, is that it's really like a hotspot because of an actor's rule in the 20s about actors had to be able to get back to LA within 2 hours for reshoots.
See, that's where Palm Springs started. For me,
That's
it was
why
got
it
famous with the
became
Rat
like a
Pack
hot
back in the
spot.
day. You know, it was like, oh, Frank bought a place out there, and Dina was hanging out there. Sammy, you know what I mean? It was kind of like, oh, those guys. It was a hot spot between like Vegas and LA. You know,
Oh, okay, maybe, but I guess it meeting of the
for
minds.
me,
like,
just
it all
that's
got
where
together.
that's where I found it.
Well, either way, like that's why, like between those meetings of energies, like that's where it's coming from, and like
That's where what's coming from. I don't understand. I still missed this one.
Okay, I didn't know the 1920s thing, and I also didn't know. I think that's where I was.
Do you
going.
want to bail out of this?
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
can't
bail
figure out what's happening.
I'm gonna bail out. Bye bye. Have fun in Palm Springs.
Oh
That
my
was
God!
it.
And that's been What's Going On.
Dun, 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 dun. Have fun.
Are you nervous? Or is it because we're doing earlier than usual and sometimes your MS head is not quite, the cloud isn't fogged?
I feel fine. So
Oh,
pick
'cause
which one
it
you
was
want.
happening to me too, so I thought maybe we were nervous because Mr. Zuckerman was here, perhaps.
Of course, I'm nervous because Zuckerman's here, but I'm trying to just be like straightforward and
Okey-doke.
cool about it.
Okie doke. All right, Mrs. Ryan, let's take a quick break, put all that nonsense aside, and bring in Mr. Zuckerman, shall we?
Yeah.
Awesome. Right back after this. More to come. Paul Zuckerman is here. Special Saturday night special. More to come. I'm conscientious of your time, I love it. Fuck it. No music. Just come right in.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, got some things to do,
You've
money
done a
to
million-
make.
You've done a million of these things. Welcome. Thank you for coming to our house.
You're welcome. Is this on TV?
Yeah,
Is
it'll be
there-
on YouTube tonight.
It's on a camera?
Yep. Yep. Plenty of
On Instagram.
On a camera? What do you think?
I don't know. You know, if you know anything, I don't know anything about technology. If I could have stopped the time train in 1995, I would have gotten off at that stop.
Stop.
And you guys could have gone up ahead somewhere.
Did you have a pager?
I know I never had a pager.
Did
I
you-
stopped at payphones. And you know how people don't want to touch the handle in the bathroom and get like dick hands, but we thought nothing back then, young
Yeah,
people, about
totally.
taking the payphone
Yep.
and cradling it and putting your mouth on it and your ear on it, and that was a comfortable time period for me. I didn't-
No boundaries? No
I
issues?
probably didn't get sick because of all the germs I
Yeah.
was wiping on my face with payphones.
Yeah.
How the hell are you? I don't know you at all. I feel like I know you through your eyes on Instagram because your face is so fucking infectious with the smile and the whole thing. But I don't know anything about you other than like you make a lot of
don't.
money, you collect cars, you're friends with a lot of people, blah, blah, blah.
We've seen each other plenty of times,
Plenty of times.
but you never asked.
What do you mean I never asked?
You never asked me, who are you?
Oh, I know. I figured I'd wait till, you got on my turf or something.
Yeah, I know her.
How come?
Do you?
Yeah, we do know each other.
Oh yeah.
You don't know that?
I thought we did until you're like, "Why do you have a cane?" And you thought I said, "I'm a mess."
Right? But that's
Oh, I have MS.
right.
Oh, that's all
and
right.
of course, because I'm like a nosy Long Island Hebraic fellow. When
That is why I love
I
you.
see something, I'm like, "What's wrong with you?"
Oh,
Well,
is that
she-
what you said?
Yeah, I said, "What's wrong?" It's between being Jewish and being a personal injury lawyer. I always want to know what's wrong with somebody.
Yeah.
What's
and
wrong?
no bullshit.
And
too.
I just say, "What's wrong with you?" Like, okay, because I think maybe there's a case there. She fell down the stairs, took a tumble. I don't know.
You could probably do malpractice. Probably
Yeah,
get that
so-
one,
Oh
definitely.
yeah, we've got like a litany of things we can talk about that
Right.
way.
Like we could talk about rheumatologists, we could talk about neurologists, we could talk about autoimmune diseases. You missed lupus, right? You missed
Yes.
So
rheumatoid
they
arthritis.
cut that out early.
Yeah. So yes, overlapping.
It's always
Venn
lupus.
I like it.
diagrams, yes,
I like it.
lupus.
I love you. It's always lupus.
Do you guys actually know each other?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Oh,
I
for
mean, she's
goodness
getting
sake.
all nervous.
No, I thought
We do
just
know each
maybe,
other.
just maybe.
Before you, she had my hat.
Oh my gosh.
She had my stripy
Can you
hat.
imagine? That would be very awkward. No wonder.
Yes. Where do you think she got the MS?
I hear that all the time.
Where did she get it from?
Yeah,
Yes,
It's getting uncomfortable quickly.
it should be. I thought this was a safe place.
That's right. You
I
read
know
the
your
email.
You read
instructions.
it?
I read your
You read
instructions.
it?
The Ryan house is a safe place. I'm
You
like,
ask questions.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
time to
I
update
don't know.
that, I
I'm
think.
like, what are they? Is it Zed and the Gimp is in there? What's going to happen inside this place? I have to. She's going to come out with like a stripy suit on and a ball gag, and I'm.
You're painting all different pictures.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I read the shit you write to people. I find it alarming when somebody says to me, "It's a safe place."
Do you?
Yeah.
Why is it not? Because it's not normally.
Because to say it, it's like okay. My philosophy is
Oh,
an
hang on.
excuse not asked for is a confession.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. I will tell you why I put it in there, though. We have a tremendous amount of comedy people come in here, and it tends to be more performance based versus like a conversation.
So they feel unsafe. I thought comedians just said whatever. I
Oh,
thought those
no,
are
no,
Not
no,
anymore.
no. I think we should change it, especially based on this right now. It was one thing I wrote 6 months ago and haven't thought about it
right.
since.
Oh, it's safe. So glad I'm
Holy
coming to a
shit.
Yo,
safe place.
regular
That's
people
like it.
don't
That's what you
understand
stuck
the
onto.
same way. You're friends with a lot of entertainment people. We have
No,
different
I just don't
bars of-
feel unsafe ever.
Right. Well, that's a dude thing, but it's also maybe a lawyer thing. Like
No,
you've
it's
got it in
also
your pocket.
I guess, but I just am an open book. I don't give.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm going to
Cool.
take everything out of my bag of shit and put it on the mantelpiece and celebrate it.
I love it.
Look, I'm all fucked up. Aren't you?
You know what? That's us too, but I think maybe because we came to it more recently than perhaps you, that maybe we were still like wearing it on our sleeve. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
don't-
we didn't used to be open books at all.
Well, I was the open book before I did anything on podcasting, and I'm not going to say just for me to say I'm in media or I've done 1,000 of these things really isn't correct. This is purely by accident that I've ever done a podcast.
Okay.
Just by circumstance and proximity to people that do things like this, and they asked me to do it. Before I ever did the podcast with Spike, I've never listened to one,
Yeah, I still have.
and I still
I've
have
listened
not
to one half
listened.
of one, and it was you guys.
Yeah, I don't. And so if you said, "Have you ever watched my show?" No, but then don't take it personally. I haven't watched my
No one
show.
takes it
I haven't watched anybody's. I haven't watched anybody's show.
Well, that was more logistics, but I
Right.
appreciate that you don't have time for that. I would imagine also.
Not really.
What do you do with your time? You spend money.
I like money.
We know that.
I like money.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Anybody who has a little bit of money likes money, right?
Yeah, I do.
I
I
mean-
think it's nothing to be shy about. I'm good at
Agreed.
making it, and I'm good at spending it. I'm better at spending it than making it.
Okay.
And
Really?
oh yeah, I got $1 in my bank account. Burns
Easier
up.
to spend.
I burn a hole in my pocket. If I get one, I got to spend two.
You know what?
So,
That's one of the
why
questions
are you
from
laughing?
somebody. This is one of the questions from somebody.
You're hilarious.
Well,
It's
it's-
that Long Island nonsense.
But it's true. It's like, if let's say I settle a big case, and my theory is that if I'm going to, let's say I'm going to get, I'll make up a number. I'm going to get $1 million in 30 days. I need to spend
Future
$2 million today. When I'm going to get $1 million gross, I need to spend $2 million net today. There should be some sort of a formula to work out all of these universal truisms, like a drunk will say that he drinks 1/3 of what he actually drinks. A guy will say he slept with 3 times more women than he actually slept with. I will spend 4 times more dollars. There must be a universal mathematical principle to.
But they're all different, all of those ones.
But but mathematicians will tell you they're not.
Oh, really?
I think.
Women will tell you.
If you zoom out far enough, you'll find the algorithm there.
Yes, there's an algorithm. Fermat's last theorem. I don't know. Something like that.
Speaking of money and ways to spend it, I opened up the social to ask if anybody had questions for you, and one of which was $50,000, $100,000, and $150,000. 3 different price points. What do you, Zuckerman, buy?
Okay.
3 different things.
Okay, me. I'm gonna take actually the objective, reasonable person who doesn't really have. Let's say I'm just going to imagine there's a guy who has those 3 sums of money, or 3 different guys who don't have any Porsches and they want to enter into the Porsche world. And my advice to them in general is always the same: 997. So the 50 grand guy is going to get himself like a 997 Carrera S. And the 100 and the 150 guy are going to go for GT3s. Right. So maybe the first guy with 100 is going to get a nice GT3, and then the second guy is going to get the best one. Or maybe a guy gets a turbo. And
Gen 1, Gen 2,
yeah,
who knows,
and
whatever.
then like a Gen 1 with a Mesger engine and a 6-speed turbo is the 100 grand guy, and the 150 grand guy goes for the top shelf GT3 with no miles on it in a gray color.
Right.
I think those are the most fantastic all-around Porsche cars that a person could get into right now.
And you think a 997 is a good entry for first Porsche?
Yeah,
I mean,
because
it was our first 911.
yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
Because it combines enough kind of early analog characteristics and the right size with your mod cons.
Right.
So, and it's a slightly vintage now, but it's slightly modern.
Yeah,
So
we're
you're
15 years old this year.
Yeah, so you're going to cover the most of the target area.
Wild.
Yeah.
And still affordable.
Right. And still relatively it's not going to break down on you. You're not going to be stuck with
Reliable.
gigantic. Yeah, it's got reliability.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
And
wow.
then yeah.
All right, good to know. Seems,
Okay.
I wish it was my
Made-
question
made
now.
your
Seems like
argument.
I loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. Well, this was just since we're doing it then. Somebody named Motor Ace Archive would like to know your best car and road driving combo.
A number of years ago, I had to come down from Santa Cruz in November, and I cut across, I think, to Hollister, and then took the 25 to the 198 by Coalinga to the 33. You're coming down.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, you're coming down from Northern California in between the 101 and the 5, and it's a small road, mainly one lane in each direction, and nobody's on it, and miles of curves or open road, and that's a fantastic combination.
Did you say the car?
It was a 991, the 2014 or 15 991 GT3.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That's a win.
So it's
It's a win.
opened up because I'm taking notes. I'm like, was that a good road to drive, or do you need a fast car for that?
You
or is
could
it-
take your 996 would be perfect on that road, right?
Yeah.
That would be a perfect car, or any car, really any nice handling car. Because I remember seeing a sign that had like the curvy road thing that said 33 miles, like 33 miles of curves, and there was not one other vehicle and not one police officer.
Oh man, now you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just flat out.
When did you drive that?
That was, I think, in 2014 or 15.
So new car.
New car.
Okay.
New car. I happened to do that ride. I went to my brother-in-law's house for Thanksgiving, unusually so. So I was up in Santa Cruz. I made sure to go separately from everybody else so that I could drive by myself back and take that drive.
Nice.
By myself. Nobody else.
That's clear.
Perfect company.
Is there a Mrs. Zuckerman?
Yeah.
Does she drive? Does she
Really?
passenger with you?
Yeah, and complains.
She does. That's what I was going to ask.
Right.
How does it go?
No, she's everything that was charming during courtship is now unacceptable, from humor to driving. So no, she doesn't like to be in the car anymore. It makes her nauseous. Something about being nauseous. It's a very.
Nauseous all the time.
Are you really?
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's like living on a cruise ship in your body and then like trying to figure it out.
Really, my aunt Irene from Long Island, she lives in a binary world of nausea or non-nausea.
Yeah.
That's just it for her. It's like, are you nauseous? She'll say, are you nauseous? Why would you think I'm nauseous? Why would I be nauseous? She smells something, it makes her nauseous. She's in the car, it makes her nauseous. Everything makes her nauseous, and she believes everybody else is nauseous too. As a default,
It's an ailment that just
you're either non-nauseous or you're nauseous. Yeah. She's a difficult person, but she doesn't think she is.
You're from Long Island?
Yeah.
What part?
Huntington area.
Okay.
North Shore, halfway out. Little town called Fort Salonga, which is between Northport and Kings Park, if you know where that is, or between Huntington and Smithtown, if you know where those.
Smithtown, sure.
Yeah.
Port Jeff Ferry we used to take over all the time from Connecticut. I grew up in Connecticut.
Oh, you're waspy, huh?
I don't know if I'm waspy. I'm just outside of Manhattan. What is that?
I don't know.
Wilton,
Did
Connecticut.
your family belong to a country club?
No.
Are you sure?
All
I
of
don't
my friends
believe-
did.
Yeah.
I was in the right
Okay.
area, but we were not the rich family.
Right, so right,
I
about
know,
feeling
yeah.
like an outsider.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody, yeah.
Look at what you're doing right now. I'm an outsider. I am an outsider. I'm very
This
comfortable
looks
being an
much
outsider.
bigger on Instagram, by the way. I thought it was Merv Griffin's entire set, and yeah, it was cozy. It's nice.
This is the actual Letterman shit, though.
Is it really?
It's the actual Letterman desk and chairs.
Oh, Spike must have written on this.
I don't know. I think he wrote in the old show, didn't he? I don't know much about that either. I know
He was there in the early to mid '80s, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I think. It might have been the
Right.
older stuff. I
So
don't
this
know.
just
is
got
mid-90s.
Letterman. Oh, I'm touching Letterman stuff.
I don't know if you care about that, but being a New Yorker, some people care a
I
lot.
don't care about that. I never watched a lot of TV.
What were you doing when you were younger? When I was watching TV, were you out chasing women and cars and money?
Substance abuse, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you in a program? Or are you in recovery or anything?
No, but I just
Just having a good time. I'm young, having a good time.
Very unsafe. That's a horrible question to ask somebody.
Not an open book, safe place. Let's talk about it.
You know what? That's a private conversation. But yes, when I was younger, I enjoyed being out and about, up very late at night. If you asked me what I did before I went out at night, because I'd go out at 11 or midnight and stay out.
Yeah,
I don't know
that was
what
the
fuck
beginning.
I did.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what I did. I don't think I napped. I don't know what I don't know what I did after work and before going out. I don't know. Can't tell you. And but I did it, and then that's what I did. But I always like to read. I'm a big reader. I've always been an avid reader, so I'm more apt to read a book than to turn on the television.
Right.
It's always been that way for me.
Well, that's wonderful. That's a great thing, right?
It's good for your brain.
Very good for your brain, good for your creativity, good for your imagination. You're very observant, too. Are you a detail person? Are you like attention to detail? You got all that?
Depends on what it is.
Well, you walked in here and you said, oh, the Eames chair and the hoods on the lights and all that stuff.
I call it like one of my party tricks, but what I do is I'm very good at seeing what doesn't fit in the picture. So I might not observe everything else in the room because there might be or a person or a situation, anything that's consistent, I'm not paying attention to. It's the something that sticks out a little bit, that's a little bit out of character. That's what I'm going to focus on because that's where the interest is. Like, why is it like that? And that's what I do in my law practice or in any other context. It is a shortcut. I call it. It's I think it's a skill that they don't really teach, and I think it's called pattern recognition because your whole day is about recognizing patterns. If your day truly was like Groundhog Day and it was a new day to you, a new land to you, you had no experience with anything that occurred, you wouldn't be able to get through the day, or the day would feel like it's 10,000 hours long.
Right.
You'd be totally
Child
ineffective.
with no experience,
right.
no nothing,
Yeah,
no awareness
Babe
of
in the
anything.
woods, a tabula rasa. Every day is sui generis, as they say in Latin, a thing unto itself, a new thing. And so if you can get ahead of everybody else if you can recognize an emerging pattern. So, for example, they'll say in Hollywood that there's 4 original scripts. Well, that's true. There's 4 original people. There's 4 kinds of traffic accidents. There's 4 kinds of slip and fall accidents. There's 4 kinds of agendas that people have. Right. So if you can figure out quickly what you're dealing with or who you're dealing with, you've covered 80% of the ground.
Yeah, you cut through the bullshit much quicker.
Now there's a certain degree of improper stereotyping there, maybe, or you're not really learning a person sometimes. Some people might feel that you're taking a shortcut with them or their situation, but generally speaking, it gets you through the day if you're busy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's a numbers game anyway. It makes sense.
So I come in here and I take a quick look around.
You go. And so when you said I like the chair, it actually stood out as being a problem. Then maybe
not a problem.
But not going though.
No. It just says something about you and your character. So so your little corner where you sat, and in that modern, you have that little your little.
It's the
credenza,
Luftgekühlt chair,
the Luftgekühlt chair by your credenza where you keep your special maybe stereo equipment. That's your little corner over there. She's got the Eames chair. Right, because that's comfortable for her.
Right.
I saw that.
It's true.
So I automatically saw how you guys operated in your sphere over there. That's the things that stand out to me.
Okay.
I don't know why I do that or why I think it like that, but that tells me I don't know.
Well, what's interesting is there isn't a whole lot of thought, like when you come into an office and you want to play a power movie, you sit behind the desk, you do that, whatever the heck it is. There's none of that. It was none of that. It was where the furniture was in the house.
I understand that, but
it
it's
has
just
become
organic.
the thing. Yeah, it has become the way we do it. You're right.
Well, that's the way we all operate. Every dog has their dog bed. We have our spot. We have our nest. We're really no different. We're mammals. So we want, and I have my comfortable spot, and I have my little place. We did a podcast last week, and we were talking about a car. There was a car that a collector had bought out of Italy, and the car was a 92 RS in speed yellow, and it was owned by a gentleman named Zorzi from Padua. And it said, and Zorzi had a special, he took it to the extreme. Zorzi had a special regimen for when he drove the car. When he brought it back, he would cover it. He would also have some sort of foam bolsters so the cover wouldn't touch the entire car. He had bolsters so the doors wouldn't shut and compress the seals. He placed tissues over the intakes and the exhaust pipes to keep unnecessary humidity out of the engine. And he also had 2 little plaques put on the passenger side on the window for entering, and on the glove box to tell passengers to be careful sitting down and with the door sills. And we were laughing about his kind of OCD gone to the extreme, this Zorzi technique. And so we are all on that continuum. And Zorzi is the ultimate expression of that thing of our place, our space. We are wanting certain orders. Zorzi took it to the unpleasant. We were laughing like, you want to buy a car from that guy. You don't want to live with that guy. You don't want to. Can you imagine his going to bed techniques?
No.
If he was Mr. Ryan.
Yeah, no thanks.
Mrs. Ryan, you must do the procedure.
No.
The Zorzi procedure.
No.
Wouldn't
Can you, Matt, go down the list?
Yeah,
Horrible.
Checklist. Did you?
I'm out.
Yeah, you'd be out with Zorzi.
Yeah.
Did you ever fly at all? Did you ever be a pilot? You have to do those checklists or anything? It's that kind of thing.
I wouldn't. I would. Okay. In theory, I would love to be a pilot, but the idea of the time that it would take to do that
No.
right
It's
now.
a joke for you. Yeah, okay.
Yes, you pay someone to do that. It's like, am I going to climb up that ladder and fall on my fucking head and ruin my fucking tool? No, I pay somebody to do that for me.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
There's certain things, like we were talking about this.
I don't know. I'm so about the experience, but what you're saying makes perfect sense to
Okay.
me. You're literally making perfect sense to me. I'm just going, never thought of it that way.
Right. Okay.
I
will
used to
drive
live that way.
I'll drive fast and unsafe because I get enough pleasure out of that.
Yeah.
But
And I won't do that. Isn't that weird?
Why?
I don't drive unsafe. I drive fast as fuck, but not unsafe. Not what I consider unsafe.
Okay, driving fast as fuck I consider to be unsafe.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just saying I'm not passing in blind curves. But,
no, I don't do that either.
I am driving faster and better and maybe a little bit more than I should be considering the surrounding people.
But it's worth it.
to me, it's worth it.
Juice is worth the squeeze.
Yes, but going up on a ladder, no.
This started with, have you ever flown? I'm thinking of checklists and all that. It doesn't even. It's supposed to be a by the way.
What? Okay, what would be the point? Like, why? Okay, yeah, I'm going to.
No. Some people like that. Some people really get something
not
out of
a
it.
hobby
I'm
you
trying to
would
get to know
enjoy.
you. You know, I don't know where your
I
interests
got
lie.
enough hobbies.
What are your hobbies? We know about cars. That's what everybody knows about with you.
Okay, there's the cars. Then there's some architecture stuff, like building stuff that I like to do, like little projects. Like I have a house, a mid-century down in Baldwin Hills that I am lightly restoring in a way that you would take an original car. The house that I found in Baldwin Hills, which has a killer view of L.A., it's a mid-century
South
house.
of Fox, right? That area.
It's if you went down,
And the
if you were
golf
going
course.
to La Brea, if you were going south on La Brea and you were going up the hill, so you cross all the way through to Los
Towards
Angeles,
Stocker.
you're going up towards Stocker. Before you get to Stocker, I would be in the neighborhood that's just to the west.
Oh, wow.
And so the
You're gonna put up an oil derrick and the whole bit.
Right,
Is that why you bought
that's
it?
a little
Is
further
that why you
west.
bought it?
I wish, but the house was built by the lady who built the Pan's restaurant chain. Remember where they did Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they call
Blue
that
and
Long
orange.
Gone, yeah.
architecture googie. That's
Googie style, of course.
Googie style. So that was her house, and she built a house in '59, and she lived in it until last year.
So your house is a Googie style?
No,
Okay.
but that was her. I'm just telling
Oh,
you
wow,
who she
okay.
was, and she was a proponent of Googie style, and so she had some flair and taste. And her house was built by an architect who had studied under Frank Lloyd Wright and also built some Googie restaurants like Chips, not Chips, Chips, and if you know that architecture. And so anyway,
don't
she
know
lived
that
in the
one.
house
I
till
do
she
know
was
Chips, ironically.
She lived in the house until she was 101, and she died in late 2017. And the house was as it was built and as it appeared in Architectural Digest in 1960. So it's really cool. And
Survivor.
Survivor,
Kitchen, all
and
everything.
of everything.
Wow.
With the intercom systems, and the average person would have taken that and like modernized it, and I don't want to do that. The bathrooms are atrocious. I'll fix that, but generally, I want to keep it like we would keep a '59 Speedster,
Right.
That we found in original, well-maintained condition. So I've done some work on that. There's the garages where I keep the cars. I work on those.
We see that on Instagram
Right.
constantly under construction.
Right, and then there's a warehouse that I just finished, and that involves an archive that I'm working on with another guy, and that is an archive about early motorcycle clubs, early outlaw motorcycle clubs in Southern California. We have about 30,000 items, like photographs,
Holy shit.
letters, cuts, the jackets with the logos,
All of the
and
custom stuff.
yeah,
on the back.
and that's something that we're working on organizing. My partner had been involved in this for years before we met, and he is amazing at meeting people, these older folks, and gaining their trust and convincing them to understand. We view this not as a matter of commerce, but a matter of history.
Right,
Culture,
preservation.
art, and preservation. So, so we have to now figure out archiving sciences. So I'm working on that right now. And if anybody wants to see it, they can look at Outlaw Archive on Instagram. Our main account is down, and there were 100,000 followers on the main account. But some of the clubs don't like that we're learning about their history, so they flag the photographs, and it crashes the account periodically. So the backup account is up, but that's another little project.
But that was the whole idea back then, right? Was that these guys were all these little clubs, and they were all little gangs, right? They were
Right.
little motorcycle gangs, for lack of a better term.
There's different periods. So it's like there's the first guys that come out of World War II that want some adrenaline. Then there's the next generation that's getting a little wild, but I would still consider it to be a naive, what I call a naive period. It's more about hijinks and fun and being different, being an outsider, dropping out of society, dropping out of a very conformist society at that time, and being yourself and living your life. And then there's the later where it gets much darker and militant. That's not really the period I'm in. We're not interested in that. We're interested in the late 50s to the mid
fun
60s. The fun
I was gonna
time.
say when it was cool.
Yeah, right. You know, it's like in a movie, like Scarface. It's the montage scene where everything's going great, right? It's the
Only the
montage
montage.
scene, and then you hit the wall and it starts to crash. You know. He's in the. Remember when he's in the I think the whirlpool, the jacuzzi with his cigar, and she's doing lines, and she says, "You're not fun," and he goes, "Look at the pelicans fly," and
I don't know this one as well, but for me, it's Layla in Goodfellas. Once
right,
you hit that
of
point,
course.
it's like,
right,
tipping.
right, and that's so we like the naive period before then, the montage period.
Great.
Everything's fun,
Nothing can go wrong.
nothing can go wrong, and then the
naivete
cliff
you're
is
talking about,
coming.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, are you going to the Malibu Kitchen after this?
Eventually, I have to go over to West LA, look at the new garage, meet my contractor there, get the Zuckerman touches on the garage.
Will this new place be open to the public?
No.
So
Why?
I'm trying to figure out why you would have all this wonderful curation of stuff and a whole 100,000.
Okay, the cars or the
this is separate.
This
I
is
got
separate.
confused.
This is the garage. I lost the space. My first space was on Massachusetts in West LA. And that space was rented to me by a great guy, Dave Altimus, who's big in the Porsche world.
Yeah.
And what
I used
happened?
to see him up on Mulholland all the time.
Right.
He used to be a president of one of the
I
clubs.
was driving from Malibu in a 66 Vet, and I had come out off the 10 West to the 405 North, whereupon my car broke down on that long 2-lane transition. And so the freeway tow services came up. And I was like, "Whoa, these guys really do exist." And they hooked my car, and he took me off, and he dumped me. We came off of the off ramp at Santa Monica Boulevard, and he pulled me into that little industrial zone just north of Santa Monica Boulevard.
Okay.
I said, well, "Dude, can you take me a few blocks to the mechanic?" And he's like, "Nope, we're not allowed to. So we just got to get you off the freeway." And he dropped me off in that homeless industrial zone, and I was like, Well, fuck you, man. I tried to give him $100. I was like, "Here, take
I was
some."
going to say, it's right there. You could probably
I was like,
see
I
it.
took the wad out. I was like, "Hey, come on, money, all you want. Come on, just take me 2 more blocks." And he wouldn't do it. So I was sitting there waiting for AAA to come, and I noticed a sign from the Altimus company for rent. And I was like, wow, that used to be a body shop. So I called it up. He was right around the corner, and it was a perfect car
That's how it's
storage
supposed
place.
to be.
And I was renting from him for 10 years. And his collection has grown to the point where he needed to take it back.
Oh, no kidding.
So that's forced me to get another space, which is right next door to my existing big space.
Oh, great.
Which is perfect. So I now have to take that space and get it right. I have to Zuckermanize it.
Oh, I see.
I have to get the shiny floors.
So it's not so much that I'm watching like, oh, you're redoing the same thing over and over again. These are different places. You just redid one place, now you're redoing another
Right.
place. Oh, shit.
Right.
Oh, man, you must be having fun, though.
Yeah.
That's the creative part. See, that's the part I thrive in. I love all of that stuff. Do you
I didn't
enjoy
know-
that process?
I didn't
or
know
no?
I had that side of me.
Really?
No, I didn't know that. I was, okay. Well, it's a doctor, lawyer. Jewish Long Island thing, doctor, lawyer. Creativity was not to be explored.
Yeah.
That was for losers. Or, as my grandfather would have said, bums. Don't be a bum.
Yeah.
Right? Bums were people
Or
who...
beatnik of fucking
right,
everything.
yeah. Why are you moving to California?
Oh, yeah.
Hippie, yeah.
Yeah, I got that too.
Did you get that?
Oh, yeah, upstate New York, they're not interested.
Where in
anything we
upstate
do.
New York?
Near Rochester.
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 So does that make you a townie?
I don't know.
Well, okay, you know about townies. And
I
you
think
know,
it does,
Yeah,
personally.
you are a townie.
'Cause she
I
was
moved around
outside.
a bunch,
You were
I don't
outside
know.
of Rochester. You were in
Yeah.
the place outside.
Why'd you move around? What was wrong with you people?
Who knows? There's a litany on that too. But my dad's job moved us around a lot. So we moved to Virginia. He's an engineering manager for like corporate shit. So like we moved
Defense
to
industry,
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
making bombs, bullets.
I don't think it's that, but
Can
I
we
think it's a
talk about it?
government
Sure.
contract,
I think that's
probably.
more my uncle's department. But
that's right.
Really?
That's
He's a
right.
spy?
no.
He's a merchant of death?
No, I
Yes.
think that all that requires intelligence that does not necessarily run in my family. So I think we do other things.
You got here.
Yeah.
You managed, you're intelligent enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you got to him.
That was a lovely, happy accident.
And happy accident. So, so anyway, yeah, I didn't know that there was a. Anyway, enough of you. I didn't know there was a creative side to me, but then there is.
So it was always in there. And now you've got the opportunity to kind of express it a little bit?
Yes. Now that I'm in my golden years.
How old are you? Can we talk about that? Is that an open book?
54, yeah.
54?
Yeah.
Good for you. You
I look 54.
Is it? Yeah, I don't know if it's that I'm getting older or how that works, but you don't look 54 to me at all.
No, but if you asked a 25-year-old, I'd look 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
150.
Relativity.
And so it's, yes, the eyes age and you see things differently. You might, if you're 25 and you see someone 40, you're like, look how old that person is. And when 15 years later, when they're 55 and you're 40, you're like, you look really good.
Yeah.
You think they look really good.
What happens for me, I go into my head, it's, you relive your own personal stuff. And my dad died when he was 56. And he looked so much fucking older than you do. Even
That's
now,
how they
if I
lived
look at
back
pictures.
then. That's how
Hard.
they lived.
Yeah.
My dad died at 67, and he had rotted himself.
Yeah.
Is that what your dad did?
No.
Smoking, drinking?
He did used to smoke and drink, yeah. I don't know if he rotted himself. He was a photographer and a firefighter as well, so I think that he might have just ingested all sorts of shit over the years.
Right.
He also went through some crap, too. You know what I mean? Sometimes that takes it off. Takes the years off.
Yeah, that'll
If you don't know how to, you know what I mean? If you
You're
don't
right.
put
If you
it-
don't have the tools.
if you don't put it
like
where
my
it
old
needs to
man,
go.
yeah. He didn't have any tools. Did not have any tools to process what his issues were.
Where did you get yours? How were you able to do it? Experience?
I
or-
used all of my, everything my dad gave me, all of his problems, which I didn't know that he gave me. Like my parents, they put a pair of glasses on you and a set of headphones like you've got on your head right now. And you don't know you have that. You don't think you're like them. You don't realize that they've given you a whole framework for perceiving, understanding, reacting, all of that. And because of the way my dad had grown up very poor, and my grandfather had been an immigrant and had 3 years of education, drove a cab from 1929 until 1983, I think. He was a cab driver. And my dad did okay. He became a doctor, but he still believed all the time he was a poor kid, no matter how much money he made.
Right.
And so that chip on his shoulder, that thing about people who went to country clubs, that thing that he felt less than, but he had a big ego. I didn't know I had
You're
that.
describing me, too.
Yes, but I didn't know I had that. But that fueled my drive to succeed. I have been in a competition with no one. A competition that I engaged in ferociously against no one other than myself. And so eventually, though, I had to figure out like how to keep the superpowers but treat the other side of the pancake, the ugly side, so that I could be more comfortable and not want to get out of my car and have a fist fight with somebody in my lawyer suit, and, right? And how not to be have a volcanic temper.
Put it all in check.
Yeah, so that's the secret. You got to do some work about that, so you're more comfortable and livable, and you're not a lunatic. And so, why did I get lucky and avail myself of tools? I don't know.
But that's what I'm asking. Did you go and do that work, or did you just have it?
No. I had to do it.
Yeah, me too.
I had to do it, man. I had to go and
Dissect the whole fucking thing. Right?
Yeah. I had to do all sorts of things, figure it out, do all sorts of stuff to figure out and get myself to a place where I am relatively comfortable. I understand what my box is, what my boundaries are, what works for me, what doesn't work for me.
Right. Living within your own limitations, too. Is
Right,
interesting,
being
too.
right-sized. Got to be right-sized.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What an interesting.
Yeah. So,
It's a good nugget of wisdom, Zuckerman.
I got 1,000 of them. I have a toolbox that'll fix you. I can't necessarily use it on myself all the time, but I could tell you exactly how to
Bet.
run your life.
Great.
Yeah.
Maybe we could stay friends with you.
Yes.
We could use some help on that front.
Yeah. Just submit questions. One of the jokes I always said with Spike was that that there's a place where Ensign and Mulholland come together.
Mm-hmm.
There's that little parking lot. We call it Whiz Points, where you stop and you take a piss in the bushes. And I always said I want to just put a desk out there. I'll put on a suit, a desk, because people have a tendency to stop there and wander up to you. Right? They don't. There's something that removes barriers over there, and people want to talk to you there. And I just put out a desk and give advice. Just say, and they can put a camera on me. And what do you got?
Are you talking about the big rock there? There's a big
by
rock.
Saddle
Yeah,
Saddle Peak,
okay.
and I'd be
Exactly.
like, there
Do
to tell
it.
people, like, what do you got? What do you need?
That's a riot.
Yeah.
You should do it. It's
I was
like,
going to say, why don't you do it?
yeah.
That'd be funny. Just
Well,
for a little
I've
thing.
pitched these guys. I have another pitch for them. It's
who?
called for Spike. I tell him I want to do a show called You Ate Ham, where I look for people. This is horrible.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
I
I
wanna
try
hear.
to trick Hebrew people
Oh,
or
gosh.
Jewish people into eating ham. So I find a guy and I say, "Hey, try the strawberry thick shake."
No.
And we say to the audience, "It has ham in it. It's not really strawberries, it's ham. You ate ham." And then
So
And of course they
gross.
didn't.
it's so horrible.
That's amazing.
It's have this candy cane. It's made of ham. And it's made of ham. Why are you laughing?
Because that's so gross and wrong. And like, at least if you're gonna trick them, like put it in a casserole so they know they're eating like a turkey casserole. And then you're like, here,
That's
it's a
too
ham.
No, the
easy.
humor, the humor to me is in the ice cream. The
Yeah.
fact that it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't-
have
it's
these
too many jokes
Twizzlers.
to me.
Have these
Oh,
Twizzlers. Yeah, they're made of ham.
I don't know. That's gross. It's like those M&ms that like put jalapenos and shit. No.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
no
always
thanks.
fun.
That's gross.
Yeah.
I'm
How
not-
long have you been doing the podcast?
It's got to be a couple of years.
Yeah?
I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
We were there for the first. We just happened to be at the
Oh,
kitchen
yeah.
that day and took a picture the first
Yeah.
day, the very first one.
That's right.
And gosh, it seems like at least a couple years ago. Do you enjoy doing that? I know you still
yes,
do it, so
it's-
you
yes,
must.
that's another hobby for me because it's very fun for me because it's not what I do. So it's
no pressure.
Listen, Spike's got the pressure. He's got the really hard job because, as you know, sitting down in front of a microphone and having a narrative and talking, like going from cold to talking and having a conversation or having a thread of what you want to talk about is really hard. It's not easy. And so if you put me in front of a microphone and said, do the show, I'd freeze, right? I wouldn't know.
Don't you think for some people it is easy? Like you can make money, it's easy. It comes easily to you. You know what I
Maybe,
mean? Like
but
whatever.
okay, but it's not. But everybody thinks they could be in your chairs. It's like anything else. Everybody thinks they're a stand-up
Yeah.
comedian. It's not. I'm just telling you. Yes, if you can do it, it's great. If I couldn't do Spike's job, I couldn't sit in front of the microphone. I couldn't sit in your chair and just start talking and have an interesting narrative. If you ask me questions, I can answer. I can ask questions. I'm good at that. I'm a lawyer. I know how to
Right.
take a deposition, so I know how to get a narrative out of people. So I could do that. I know how to throw bombs. I know how to be a caricature of myself. I know how to do. I know how to take
Caricature?
Yeah,
Nice.
I can take. Yeah, I can be me on steroids for the purpose of the podcast, not running around like Zuckerman all day long. That would be exhausting for me and everyone else.
I don't know. It's so wild. I've only ever, like you, I don't do the
Right.
podcast thing, and I have nothing against podcasts. I have nothing against the people that do them. It's more on the lines of it just doesn't fit into my life. We don't have a radio in the car, which is where most people listen
Right.
to them. You know what I mean? And I don't listen to shit. I got stuff to do.
Right.
So I don't even know anything about what you guys do, except for I listened to the episode where you guys did the talk about the Letterman 944.
The taproot
Yeah,
car.
listen to it. Sitting right here,
Right.
cutting the show one day, and I was listening to it. I remember that car. I was a kid
Right.
growing up in that town, watching him drive that
Right.
car. It's weird for me that
Right.
you guys are all talking about it. Did you buy it?
No, but that's where we came up with the notion of the taproot car. That there's always a car
That started it
that
all.
starts it all. There's different taproots, but there's always something that gets you. Like for me, I remember as a kid. The mechanic didn't finish my mother's car, and he had to give my mother his car. It was an AMX with a 4-speed Hearst in it, and she could drive a stick, but it was that noise, the shaking her shifter, the gas,
All
the
about it.
roar. It blew my mind. That's like when I said, "Oh my God, I love cars." Right, so that was like
How
a
old?
taproot for me. That was 6, 7 years old.
Oh, shit, nice.
So that was like when I really started digging cars. Now, I know what my 911 taproot is, the first one I bought. So there's a few different taproots out there.
Is that
but-
the Jerry one, the orange one?
No, it was before then. I bought a 72 RS Tribute, which was a great
Oh, okay.
car. It was in Viper Green. We called it the Green Goblin.
proper.
And so that was my first entree into a 911. And like most people, I wanted a hot rod. Like, hey, it's got to be better. You got to make it better, right? So, and
The first time.
yeah. And then you realize, whoa, it's kind of a conceit to think you can make a better 911 than the factory. Hats off to Singer, but generally speaking, no one does it as well as him. But I think it's kind of a conceit to say I can make a better 911 than the factory did. I had to learn that. myself.
I agree with that. I think when it comes to what do you want to use it for, maybe there are things you can that it's set up, I guess, but you're not changing the actual car.
Right.
Because ours is not fully stock, even though it's mostly stock, but it's set up to go do the canyons.
Right. So
Modified.
yes,
You know.
I agree with that. It's like when you take a 3.6 Vario Ram from a 993 and stuff it in a 69.
That's a different thing.
Right. That's a Frankenstein car. And
It's
there's
fun
a
in
lot-
its own right, but it's a different thing.
This is a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Seinfeld car, the orange one that you bought, that was the one that actually was from the show Seinfeld,
Yeah.
right? That's
Oh,
cool.
you know
remember
that?
that with the marble rye? Well,
It's in the
here's
marble
thing.
rye.
That's the
would-
one?
When this
Yes.
stuff was going on, when this
Where
Letterman
is
stuff and
that?
everything
You
else-
have it
Yeah.
still?
Yeah.
and this TV and everything. No, that was my time. I was watching television, so I was obsessing over those things. So I saw a car I liked on a show I liked, and it was like, oh, fuck, of course I noticed it. Now
Right.
you own that car.
Right.
That to me is awesome.
Yeah, so Jerry, I think he bought that car in about 95 from Sam Cabiglio. And that's one of the few RSs that came into the U.S. brand new legally.
Oh, wow.
At that time in 73, the RS was not imported into the U.S. because of emissions. Already emissions laws were taking hold. And so you could get that car if you were very high up the food chain in the U.S. and you signed a piece of paper that said you were going to use it for track purposes only. But back then, they didn't have special VIN numbers for race cars. So the guy got in Arizona after testing that he was never going to use it on the roads, and he just went down to the DMV and registered it. And
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That easy.
yeah, that easy back then.
Loophole.
Loophole. Yeah,
Holy
life was
crap.
easy back then. So
Sam is Johnny, who his dad, right?
right,
Johnny's
Yeah.
dad.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
He's
crazy.
a great kid.
Yeah,
what a
he
great,
is a great
what,
kid.
Yeah, Johnny's a great man, really good guy. And so that car went at some point. Sam got it in the early '90s after it had been restored by I think Joe Torres at Pasadena Coachcraft, and then he sold
Still
it.
there?
I think
place?
he's still there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Jerry bought it in the mid '90s. Then he sold it to Spike. And then Spike
Oh,
sold
really?
it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
And that's
that.
okay. And that's how. And then Spike was my neighbor, and he sold it to me.
That's how y'all met?
Yeah. Spike was,
Do you live in the same area that he lives
no,
now?
but back then it was
Okay.
back in
I don't
2000.
want to tell other people, but
Yeah.
I was one of those
No,
things where
like-
I was going someplace else to another famous person on the same street, and I recognize the goddamn house from Instagram. Like, Jesus Christ, now I'm
Right.
stalking Spike Ferris now.
Right. So so you know where that is. But no, at the time.
Because of the neighborhood.
Right. At the time, we both lived in a neighborhood, and so we saw each other with cars and whatnot, and we became friendly that way. And that's what led me that when at a point he was going to release that car, I took it, and then Jerry saw me driving the car. That's how that happened. That's how I met him.
Oh, no kidding. Not even through Spike.
Well, Spike and him were together,
Oh,
but
that's so
but I
funny.
never met him, and so I pulled up to the Malibu Kitchen, which I did not go to at that time because I didn't want to deal with the owner, who's now my good friend. But at the time, I had not long before moved to Malibu,
Eat it, Bills.
and I realized very early that Malibu's a small town, so misbehaving or fighting with people in Malibu, your neighbors see it, and I would see that guy.
You have a place in Malibu too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I ain't fucking dealing with that guy. And this guy's just asking for me, we're going to have a fight, right?
But you're too similar, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so at some point, my son was in soccer, and I had to take him to the Bluffs, drop him off for practice. I said, I need a cup of coffee. I'll go to that guy's
Across
place.
the street where the Malibu Cars and Coffee is,
Right.
the Bluffs.
So I drove down to the Malibu Kitchen. It must have been 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday or Sunday. Jerry and Spike were sitting there, and I pulled up in the orange Tangerine RS, and Jerry said, "How do you like driving my car?" And that's how we started talking. And then they said, "Well, you should meet us here." And I said, "I don't deal with that guy. I don't. Bill, that guy. It's like a fight waiting to happen." And they're like, "No, he's a great guy." I said, "I don't know. I don't want to deal with him." And then I met him, and then we fell in love. And I think he's the world's greatest guy.
That's
somewhat
amazing.
misunderstood. And yes, he can be a little cranky, but I understand what bothers him. Things bother. Yeah. If you're standing on the line, and you walk up and you say to him, "I don't know what I'm going to eat. What should I order?" He wants to punch you in the head or stick a knife in your eye. Why should I know what you want to eat? If you're not hungry, don't come here.
What was your first experience with him ever? When you
I
didn't.
just was watching him.
Oh, that's it.
And-
So you
and
just observed.
I just observed, and I was like, man, he's gonna, I'm gonna bite my. I don't want to have a fight with in front of everybody.
My
so.
first time there, I had a 2-hour conversation with the guy, and I thought he was the best, like my new best friend. It was when Rocco Arisi was there too. So we're talking about all sorts of old Hollywood stuff and the Daily Show at the time.
Bill, there was a point,
Having a great time.
Yeah.
Then ever since then, he's never remembered who I am, and it's all good. I have no issues
right.
with it. I eat his food and say hi to Susie.
But he
and we're
changed
all good.
about 10 years ago.
Oh,
He did.
Okay.
He had a thing, and then he became nicer.
Oh.
He used to be really. I'm really crabby.
okay.
Me too.
Yeah.
It
You
happened.
changed. You had a thing.
Yeah.
You had a thing, and it changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Everybody goes through something.
Something.
Hmm.
Yeah. Exactly.
It happens.
It
Man.
happens.
This is another one. I don't know too much about it, but I'm imagining that you'll know more than me. Seinfeld car controversy with this sale thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, me
Read
neither.
about it in the papers.
Same here.
All I know is that what am I going to say, Jerry?
Yeah.
Jerry buys great cars.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't.
It's
It's
almost laughable,
The guy
right?
claims that Jerry. I don't know. Like
People ask you to. It's like, what do you say?
I
Like,
don't
They ask me
know.
a lot of breakfast.
neither of
Yeah.
you are part of it, and I'm not. People
I don't
ask as
know.
if
I don't
we're
know what's
there.
going
It's
on,
so
but I
funny.
don't imagine that Jerry's sticking people up,
Yeah.
trying to take their money.
That's
I think
all
he-
we said.
I think he's got enough.
I
of
said,
his
don't you think he
own.
would have bought it back if he was really trying to hide something?
Yeah,
Give me a break.
so
Give me a
I don't
break.
know. I mean, I'm not asking somebody about their problems.
Yeah.
I'll ask about
Yeah.
your
I was gonna
problems.
say. I was like,
Except
yeah,
you.
You had no problem when you walked in.
Yeah, that's different.
I
What's
love
that's different?
Bring it, mother.
Yeah,
I'm getting better with my swearing, and it's
Yeah.
only coming out halfway.
yeah. Come on, motherfucker. Say it. Come on.
I'm trying
Say
so
it.
hard not to,
Say it.
motherfucker.
Say it.
I know, but I know.
She used
I
to
know
all the
how-
time.
What's
I
your
used to
favorite
be
curse
horrible.
word?
Do you know what she used to do for a living?
No.
Comedy publicist.
Huh?
Comedy publicist.
Really?
Yeah.
She's
So-
been on private planes with Jerry and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
she used to fly with those guys.
really?
Yeah, the first time I saw him, I made a total fool of myself. I was like, I was with you in Cannes, but like, yeah.
Did
that
you
was
remember?
Yeah, but yeah, it was yeah.
Well, he almost died.
Yeah, he
So
almost
he
died
remembered
that
the
time, and
moment.
his wife tried to set me up with Jake Gyllenhaal. I used to have a pretty neat life.
And then you married him?
No, then I got sick.
Oh.
It's that MS thing you told me I
Oh,
was
that
a mess.
Oh, you're a mess.
So yeah, that
Oh.
happened. Yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to think like you do, or that you were talking about, of like cut to the chase. Like there's 4 of everything.
Right, because you're busy.
Yeah.
See it all, find the
Yeah.
patterns.
Yeah.
And I was with I was all over the world, so I didn't have time to analyze everything. So you
Right.
narrow it down.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Okay.
Then you get sick and you got to look at everything. So just an FYI, look
Really?
closer. Yeah.
But wait a second. But if you get sick, but aren't you supposed to like even care less about stuff? Like a bunch of shit don't matter anymore.
Yes. And ultimately, the idea is to get there. But in the meantime, sometimes a bunch of stuff comes up, like when you're in like an ocean that's like.
Right. Because you have to go through. You have to process the change and the why me and the why me.
Yeah.
Why not him?
Well, it takes a
Right?
minute to
Yeah.
understand, like, when you blame yourself, too. Like, what could I have done? Even without the blame, but, like, what could I have done to get here? So then you go through
Right.
your whole
Reverse
life review
engineer
of,
it.
like,
Right.
what happened? And then
It was that hostess.
ultimately you're fine.
It was that cupcake you ate in the 5th grade.
I bet.
Yeah, the one with the green mold on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get close.
Yeah.
Still love that stuff.
Yeah. Devil dogs.
Oh, the
Are
best.
you a junk food guy?
No, but as a kid, I
Oh,
liked
as a
it.
kid,
If
Jesus.
you're talking about as a kid, things you did as a kid on the East Coast,
Yeah.
devil dogs, ring dings, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And nobody's your parents. Okay, I'm older than you guys, so my parents didn't know that you shouldn't be eating that shit. They had a guy bring soda to the house. Once
Right.
the soda guy came, we bought soda.
My parents used to smoke in the house.
Yeah,
all
oh
the
my
time.
God, smoking. There's cartons of cigarettes everywhere.
Yeah. What
Really?
were they? What
When
were
you-
they? They were
Marlboro. Okay, my father was Marlboro Reds, real nicotine
Oh.
delivery
He was
systems.
Vantage, my dad.
Yeah. Oh,
My
cheap
mom was
sweet.
Merit.
Yeah, they were on the bargain plan for
Totally.
of
Well, when you
cancer.
said ring dings or whatever, I was
Yeah.
going to say, well, we had Little Debbie's Swiss cake.
Yeah,
rolls
you
'cause they
guys,
were
you
only
really
99
were it in
cents
the
or whatever.
country
That's
club.
right.
Now yes.
That's right.
Yeah, you were not getting Charles chips. You were getting
No,
some.
I didn't grow up with that lifestyle, but
yeah.
I watched it.
Yeah, so
And that was
you know,
tough.
my mom was Virginia Slims. You come a long way, baby. But my dad was hardcore.
Straight to the Reds.
Yeah, he had
That is
several
straight
packs a
nicotine.
day.
several packs a day.
Oh yeah, he had a giant ashtray, and he was a doctor.
So you
and
were right about that. He lived the way, and he went out that way.
yeah, and his cars, I swear to you, he would zombify while smoking. He always had a cigarette. Half the time he didn't know it was there. And when his right hand was 2 o'clock on the steering wheel, he always had a butt in there, and the smoke was going up to the windshield. And he would smoke that glass in a chemical circle
I know
that
exactly what
could
you
not
mean.
be cleaned off ever.
Streak forever, right?
Forever.
I know
It was
exactly what you're
in
talking
the
about.
glass. That's how much he had a giant ashtray that was always had a mountain of butts in it. It was disgusting.
Blues Brothers. I know exactly what
It
you're
was
talking about.
disgusting.
Very Long Island.
Yes. Yeah. and he couldn't get better. He was an addict, but his addiction was anger and cigarettes, and
Anger,
and
huh?
it killed him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Look in the
Is that
mirror,
why you're
buddy.
so happy?
Yeah.
You don't seem angry. I mean, you don't seem. Did you used to have anger in you?
Oh yeah, because
did,
that's
yeah.
how I learned that how you
Right,
encountered
right.
the world through self will, and you impose your will upon other people by liquefying them through anger. And that were all my childhood lessons. My father had a volcanic temper, a hair-trigger temper, was very smart, and would annihilate people for no reason.
But does that not teach you?
At
Does
first,
that teach you how to do it, or does that teach you, man, holy fuck, now I know how to... You not
No.
only know how to do it, but you also have reverse engineered it. 'Cause
Well,
you had to
now
deal
I
with it.
have, but at the time, I didn't know. I would do that. I would do that in my.
Oh, you're not aware of your behavior.
Not where I was, and I was a monster, and I
Been
thought
there.
I
It was
was
a choice,
funny too, and but that's how I thought. I'm special. I'm definitely special. The rules don't apply to me, and I'm going to do what I need to do to get where I need to be, and so it made me a great lawyer. Maybe a fierce advocate, because I always hated bullies too, and because
shit.
of my chip on my shoulder that my dad gave to me, I wanted to take care of other people and get them what they deserved. So I would take people that, in particularly cases other people wouldn't take, for homeless, drug addicts, alcoholics, and prevail for them and set them up and be their hero. And so I would channel all that rage into being into my profession.
To focus.
Yeah, and so it was not. But when outside of work, it made me a very unpleasant person.
It has to.
Yeah.
Until you learn to separate.
Yeah. Yeah, because I could just look at somebody on the sidewalk and be like, okay, I'm going to fuck that guy's day up. Watch this.
Did you have the
Fuck
ability
that
to, and you knew it?
Yeah. So fuck
It's a
that
weird
guy.
power play.
Yeah.
But you could do that on the radio here, on the podcast stuff.
Yeah,
It's
but-
just not your flavor.
No, it's a much happier day.
I'm so happy.
To be well adjusted and to be a man among men and to not have to go to these places to exert my will. There's more refined ways of accomplishing the task.
So that's it. You've just refined over the years. You've evolved.
Yeah, it did
This is
the
the
work.
evolved Zuckerman.
Yes, this is.
Things I'm learning.
Right.
Minute by minute.
But it makes for a great sense. If you can, I always call it the 11th commandment. It's like, don't take yourself too seriously.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, like Rule 64. Don't take, don't take yourself too seriously. Laugh at yourself. So looking back, I just, I own it. I told you, put it on the mantle and laugh at myself first and foremost. And that's where the fun is.
We agree, but it took us a long time to find that.
Right. The sense
Happy
of
to be
humor.
here now, man.
Right.
Hashtag grateful.
So, yeah.
I mean it.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I see that in your face and your eyes. You do seem to be somebody who, even though you work very hard for what you do, you seem to be very appreciative of what you have.
Right, because yes, I've really, if I got what I deserved, if there really was karma, and I do kind of believe in karma, but if karma really operated the way it's supposed to, my head would explode into 10,000 pieces right in front of you.
Or you're a really good dude and you don't know that part either.
It's bad. Okay, I would overcompensate. Right, so I would do all sorts of bad shit and then really do really good things for people.
Yeah.
So I would destroy on the one hand and rescue on the other.
That's the behavior, though.
Yes,
That's
of course, it's the rubber band.
Yeah.
It's
recognizable.
That, yeah, so I still do a lot for people. and I try to. I'm a collector at my office of people that otherwise you would have trouble getting work, and I like to work with them and fix them and all sorts of stuff. That's fun for me.
Holy shit, man.
But
Deep.
But it also is because it's an ego thing too. So I have to find the right balance, because helping people it's kind of selfish. It makes you feel good, and you got to know why you're doing it and what you're doing it and what the appropriate
Motivations.
boundaries are. Right, because if you then can set yourself up to really help somebody, and then of course they're being human, so they'll disappoint your expectations, and then you'll go crazy, and then you're in that rubber band cycle of destroy, help. I don't want to be there.
Is it friend somebody, unfriend them, friend them,
Something like
unfriend them,
that.
friend them, unfriend them?
Something like that, right? But yeah, so.
I think that's very cool.
But
And
I haven't figured it all out by any means. Trust me. On any given day, I can be insane. Give me cold medication, and I'm fucking nuts.
Like NyQuil?
NyQuil or Dayquil or Sudafed or
Is it because you're no longer in control? It's some
it's
spirits
just-
are driving
there's
there?
something that's in there that just makes me
Oh, it
wanna-
pisses you off.
Yeah, and or I had a shot of steroids for a cold, and it was like, come on, motherfucker.
Holy shit.
Come on, it's on.
It ramps up your body.
I was
Yeah.
gonna
Is
say,
what I'm getting.
turns him into
yeah,
Hellboy.
yeah, sweaty and ready. You know, like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive you off the fucking road and then kill you. Well, for no reason, too.
What's your favorite car you own currently?
I don't even know how to answer that.
Really?
Whatever I'm
The
driving.
most
at
recent
the
one.
moment.
Oh, that's a good
okay.
way.
So I drove my M5 out here, my 2003,
Oh, I love that car.
and it's a great
I
car.
love that car.
And then I just got for the archive where we'll have all the motorcycle stuff, a '66 Chevy 2. It's what we would call a Nova, but it was really a Chevy 2.
It's a muscle car.
Yeah, it's an L79, so it's got the small block Chevy Corvette engine, the 327 with 350 horsepower. The engine is sublime. It's an exquisite shitbox. The engine's great. The shifter's okay. The handling, the steering, the brakes are hilariously horrendous. Build quality is non-existent.
It's all original, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was restored. It's beautiful, but it's a real deal L79 in tuxedo black, and it's a fantastic car, and it's so flawed, right? It's like if you take a '66 911 and a '66 Chevy, there's no comparison.
One's built and one's there.
Right, one's there, and so I acquired that, and I'm like considering, do I have enough time? Because I have to meet at 11:30 in West LA, and we're running late.
Yeah,
already,
you should
so I
go.
don't-
You should go.
Yeah, so I don't have
Let's
enough
kill it.
time, but I'd like to drive that. That's my favorite right now.
All right, we got to get you out of here. Thank
Okay.
you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
It meant a lot to both
lot,
of us.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really cool
Good
to
to
get
see
to
you
know
without
you.
my hat.
Yeah, I'm going to steal your hat. Do you have matching pajamas with footsies and a trap door in the back?
No.
Why not?
We need the
You haven't gotten them from me yet. Who knows? Like,
trap door. In the
no.
Dog animal.
Yeah. Okay.
Man,
Thanks for coming. Man.
You're welcome.
It
Thank
means
you
a
for
lot.
having me.
It's awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for coming to our house.
Thank you.
He's out of
Thank
here.
you.
All right. Let's see. While you're out of here, next week, Mrs. Ryan, we have Monday, Rex McAfee. He's the 356 Club of LA, I guess. Something there. I'm not sure exactly, but it's another VW for Life booking.
Cool.
And
Thanks, Tori.
let's see. We got a bunch of people next week. From Curb Your Enthusiasm, we've got Kathy Ladman, Renee Olsted's going to be here, and Banya from Seinfeld, as a matter of
Banya.
fact. Steve Hittner's.
Yeah.
Heitner.
Heitner.
Steve Heitner's going to be here. That's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It'll be fun. And then all the car people.
we will see you. There we go. We will see you on Monday. Love you, Mrs. Ryan. We love you, Zuckerman.
I'm already like checked
He's not
out.
used to
I'm
cameras.
sorry.
I know.
We love you,
not.
Zuckerman. We're going to see you soon, too.
Shit, cut that out because I'm looking at my phone
Nope.
with my big head.
Nope. Is what it is.
We all know that's what you do.
Wait, so the camera was just taking the back of my head and my stomach?
It's this here. It was this.
That's horrible. Why
Your
didn't
scarf.
you tell me the whole time?
I don't know.
So
You weren't that
two are
worried to the
looking
end.
nice, and I'm just like,
I mean, it could be worse.
yeah, it could be.
There's all sorts of shit we could do.
Here's your thing.
Oh, you brought it.
Yes.
Woo! All right. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye. Oh, I got to go, man. Go. was talking about myself.